So by Gauss law, we have derived that del dot D is equal to rho into V. Okay, so I can substitute WE is equal to integral volume integral rho V capital V, which is potential, dV is equal to 1 by 2 volume integral del dot D into V dV. Remember, potential is always scalar. So this is a scalar quantity. So whether you multiply it at the end or at the starting doesn't matter. Okay. Now there is an identity which we are going to use. Okay. The identity is like this: del dot V into A, okay, is equal to A dot del V plus V into del dot A, where A is a vector and V is a scalar. Okay, so this is the identity that we are going to use. Okay, so if you compare these two, this expression and this identity, you see that del dot D or del dot a vector multiplied by a scalar, which is present like this. So I can write V into del dot A is equal to del dot V into A minus A dot del into V. Where if you compare both, we see that A is actually D. Okay, so I can write V into del dot D is equal to del dot V into D minus D dot del into V. Okay, now I can substitute this in the WE equation. So I can write WE is equal to 1 by 2 integral or volume integral del dot V into D into dV minus 1 by 2 volume integral D dot del into V into D. Okay, so just substituted the identity written in a different form. Fine. Now, if you look at this part, okay, so this is actually the divergence volume integral of a divergence, right? This is volume integral of divergence of V into D. And we know a theorem which can relate volume integral with surface integral, that is divergence theorem, which states that volume integral of del dot divergence of A into dV is actually the surface integral of A. Okay, so when you compare these two, you see this A is actually V into D. V is a scalar, so it doesn't matter whether you multiply it to the vector or not. So I can write WE is equal to 1 by 2 surface integral V into D ds minus 1 by 2 volume integral D dot del V d. Okay. And next we are going to do a small approximation. Okay, approximation is like this. Now V is potential, and you know the expression of potential is 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 some charge by the distance r. So the V varies inversely as 1 by r because r is in the denominator, and D is actually epsilon 0 into E. Okay, where you can write this as epsilon 0 into 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r square. So you see D varies as 1 by r square, right? So D is proportional to 1 by r square. And ds is actually the surface area. And the area varies. For example, if you look at the area of a circle, it varies as 1 by r square. If you look at the area of a sphere, it varies as 1 by r square. If you look at the area of a cylinder, it is length into the radius. Again, it varies as 1 by r square. So the surface area also varies or varies as r square, right? For example, circle, it is pi r square, right? Sphere, it is 2 pi r square. Cylinder, it is something around 2 pi into length into radius, something like that. Okay, so you see that everything varies in terms of square of distances. Surface area will vary as r square. So when you do V into D dot ds, basically you are doing 1 by r multiplied by 1 by r square multiplied by r square. And you are integrating this. So basically you are integrating 1 by r because this r square will cancel 1 by r. So, and you are integrating along the surface. Now, when the surface is very large, okay, or when r tends to infinity, this value tends to 0. So when you consider a large surface, when you consider a large surface, the value of the integral Vd dot ds will tend to 0. So I can write We is equal to minus 1 by 2 volume integral d dot del V d. Okay, and this is the first expression of our work done in an electrostatic or energy in an electrostatic field. We'll improve this equation. We also know that E, electric field, is equal to minus del V. So I can write We is equal to 1 by 2 volume integral d dot E d. This is the second form. We also know that E is equal to, or I can say D, which is electric flux density, is equal to epsilon 0 E, where epsilon 0 is the permittivity of free space. So We is equal to 1 by 2 volume integral epsilon 0 E dot E into d. And this is equal to 1 by 2 integral E dot E is mod E square, or the absolute value, the magnitude of the vector E. So this is epsilon 0 mod E square d. This is the third form. Okay, so you have three different forms for the energy stored in an electric field. So one form is relating D and electric flux density and the potential. The second form is relating directly the electric field and the volume density. So there are three different forms of energy stored in an electric field, which is this, this. So please make sure you understand this derivation because this has been asked some couple of times. So make sure you know how this is derived. Only catch here is there's an identity which you need to use to derive all these things. Okay, and you are making one assumption or one approximation. I won't say just exactly an approximation. It is almost equal to 0. That when you in the surface, when you do a surface integral of vd dot ds, it actually tends to 0 as the surface area tends to infinity. Okay, so this is energy. Similarly, you can do something called as energy density. So this will be in joules. The energy is in joules. So energy density is WE, this is small w, that is equal to dWe by dV. So when you integrate, when you differentiate this equation with respect to the volume, you see that the integral of volume will disappear and you will get d dot E multiplied by 1 by 2. This is energy density, or I can write this as 1 by 2 epsilon mod square. And this is the energy per unit volume. G per unit volume. Okay. So that is the derivation regarding energy density or energy stored in an electric field. Okay. Fine. So now let's move on to the last topic in electrostatics. Basically, I just put a new note. Okay. So in this part, we'll explain some terms, or we'll find what happens to inside the conductor in an electric field. And we also try to derive some boundary conditions. Now, boundary conditions are very important because this will be used in Maxwell's equation also. Okay. So if we have time, we will try to derive the boundary conditions also. So coming to conductors. So a perfect conductor has its conductivity, which is sigma, is equal to infinity. Okay, that's a perfect conductor. Now, let's say you have a conductor like this. Okay, now you are placing the conductor in an electric field. Now, what happens is, let's say I denote this electric field as E external, E, because you are applying an external electric field. So what happens inside the conductor? The conductor has a lot of free charges so that it can conduct electricity. So the free charges will align itself inside the conductor when you place it inside an electric field. So the positive charges will align in the direction of electric field, and the negative charges will align in the opposite direction of electric field. Now, when you have an alignment of positive and negative charges separated, there is an electric field created. And this electric field is in the opposite direction. Let me note as different color. So there is an internal electric field created because of this alignment. I call as EI, internal. So when you place the conductor in an electric field, the positive charges will align itself along the direction of electric field. You see that the positive charges here are aligned towards the electric field, and the negative charges will align in the opposite direction of electric field. So there's an alignment of positive and negative charges inside the conductor, which will create an electric field inside the conductor. Now, this electric field is exactly opposite to that of the electric field, which is the external electric field. Because of which, the net electric field inside the conductor is zero. Because the internal electric field will cancel the external electric field, implies the net electric field inside a conductor is equal to zero. And this is a very important result. The net electric field inside a conductor is equal to zero. Okay. ഇതിനൊരു ഉദാഹരണം പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പൊ നിങ്ങളുടെ മൊബൈല് നമുക്ക് ഈ മരം കൊണ്ടുണ്ടാക്കിയ അലമാരി ഉണ്ടാവാം, അതുപോലെ സ്റ്റീൽ കൊണ്ടോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മെറ്റൽ കൊണ്ടുണ്ടാക്കിയ അലമാരി ഉണ്ടാവും. അപ്പൊ നിങ്ങളുടെ മൊബൈല് മരം കൊണ്ടുണ്ടാക്കിയ അലമാരിക്കകത്ത് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ you can see that it will still have the range inside that structure. പക്ഷെ നിങ്ങളുടെ മൊബൈൽ ഒരു സ്റ്റീൽ കൊണ്ടോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മെറ്റൽ കൊണ്ടോ ഉണ്ടാക്കിയ അലമാരിക്കകത്ത് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ you will not get any range. It will not ring. It will not take up any cost. അതിന്റെ കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ മെറ്റൽ എന്ന് പറയുന്നതിനകത്ത് അതൊരു ബേസിക്കലി ഒരു കണ്ടക്ടറാണ്, അതിനകത്ത് ഇലക്ട്രിക് ഫീൽഡ് ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. മൊബൈൽ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ബേസിക്കലി ഇലക്ട്രോമാഗ്നറ്റിക് റേഡിയേഷൻ ആണ്. ഇലക്ട്രിക് ഫീൽഡ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതിന് മൊബൈൽ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുള്ളൂ. പക്ഷെ മെറ്റൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള എന്തെങ്കിലും സാധനത്ത് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇറ്റ് വിൽ നോട്ട് കണ്ടക്ട് ഇലക്ട്രിസിറ്റി ഓർ ഇറ്റ് വിൽ നോട്ട് കണ്ടക്ട് ഇലക്ട്രിക് ഫീൽഡ്. സോ ആരുടെങ്കിലും കോൾസ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മിസ്സാക്കണം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവർ വിളിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഔട്ട് ഓഫ് റേഞ്ച് എന്ന് പറയണം എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങളൊരു മെറ്റൽ ബോക്സ് മേടിച്ച് അതിനകത്ത് മൊബൈൽ ഇട്ട് വെച്ചാൽ മതി. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് അപ്പോൾ അവർ വിളിക്കുമ്പോൾ it will show as it is out of range. Fine. So that is basically the practical application of this electric field. Now, apart from this, there is another material called as dielectric. Okay. And for a dielectric, it is a insulator. Means it will not conduct electricity. Or you say your conductivity is approximately equal to zero. But electric field exits inside a dielectric. That is very important. So if you have a conductor and dielectric, the electric field will exit, or it will exit only inside the dielectric. There won't be electric field inside the conductor. Okay? There's a huge proof and everything that we are not going to look at because we are just looking at only the basic things. Okay? So basically, you should understand that electric field exists inside a dielectric. So basically, that is because of something called as a polarization. Okay, just to explain. So if you have a dielectric, if you place this in an electric field, the positive and negative charges will align itself, and this is equivalent to a dipole. Basically, you have plus and minus charge. In the case of a conductor, this alignment will create an electric field inside the conductor, which is opposing the external electric field. But in the case of a dielectric, it will not oppose the field. Actually, it will strengthen the field. This is similar to a dipole. Okay, so this is basic explanation. And you define something called as a dielectric strength. The dielectric strength is the maximum electric field that a dielectric can tolerate or withstand without electrical breakdown. This is called as dielectric strength. So when you place the dielectric inside an electric field, now as I said earlier, the positive and negative ions will get aligned. It will be polarized. But after some amount of electric field strength, it will break down the dielectric completely because of the huge electric field. Your electric field is basically some kind of a force. When you apply a huge force to the dielectric, it will just get broken down. So dielectric strength is the maximum electric field that can be tolerated by a dielectric. And also, we have this relation D is equal to epsilon 0 E. And we saw that this is the permittivity of free space. But apart from free space, we have a lot of other different mediums. So what about the permittivity of those mediums? And this is defined in terms of epsilon, not epsilon 0, epsilon. So this is called as this is called as permittivity of a medium. It is defined as epsilon is equal to epsilon 0 epsilon r, where epsilon 0 is the permittivity of free space and epsilon r is called as relative permittivity. That is also called as dielectric constant. So till now we have seen only permittivity of free space. We have defined everything in terms of free space, so because it is very easy. But from now on, we will be dealing with permittivity of a medium which contains the product of permittivity of free space and relative permittivity, which is called as the dielectric constant. Okay, so I can write any equation which has epsilon 0 in terms of the product of epsilon 0 and epsilon r, which is epsilon. That is called as the permittivity of the medium. Okay, fine. Okay, so this I will stop it here because I need to discuss some other things. Even if I start the derivation for boundary condition, it might not get finished. Okay, okay. Fine. Okay, discuss in the കാര്യം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ first one, I have checked your answer papers and I have uploaded